Arsenal just sent Manchester City a message and Bukayo Saka and Victor Gyokeres delivered it together. Let us be honest for a second. If you are an Arsenal fan right now, you are trying your hardest to stay calm. You are telling yourself not to get too excited. You have been here before. You know how this story can go. But deep down, after what happened at the Emirates on Saturday, the 2nd of May, 2026, something feels different. Something feels real. Arsenal beat Fulham 3-0. Clean sheet. 6 points clear of Manchester City at the top of the Premier League table, and the two men right at the center of it all were Bukayo Saka and Victor Gyökeres. So today, we are going to break down everything that happened, what it means for the title race, and we are also going to get into something that has been floating around the Arsenal community for a while now, the Pep Guardiola angle. What has he actually said about these two players? And what does it all mean as we head into the final 3 games of the season? Grab a cup of tea, let us get into it. The day everything clicked at the Emirates. Arsenal started this game on fire. There was no slow build, no nervous start, no sitting back and letting Fulham settle. From almost the first whistle, the Gunners were on the front foot and Fulham simply could not cope. The first goal came early, and while Victor Gyökeres got the tap-in at the end of it, the person who really made it happen was Bukayo Saka. Here is what Saka did. He received the ball out wide on the right. A Fulham defender was in front of him, and Saka shaped like he was going to swing a cross in with his left foot. The defender bought it completely. Saka went inside him instead, drove to the byline, and then cut the ball back perfectly into the penalty area. Gyökeres was waiting there, completely unmarked, and he tapped it home. It looked so simple. But that is exactly what great football looks like when it is working. The movement, the timing, the trust between two players. Saka knew Gyökeres would be there. Gyökeres trusted Saka to find him, and Fulham had absolutely no answer for it. Now here is a question for you as a Gooner. When was the last time you watched an Arsenal striker and a wide player combine like that and thought, yes, this is it. This is the partnership that is going to win us something, because that is how it felt on Saturday. Saka then went and scored one himself. If setting up the first goal was not enough, Saka went and got his own name on the score sheet as well. He drove at the Fulham defence, found space at the near post, and fired past Bernd Leno. What makes this even more special is the context around it. Saka had not started a Premier League game for Arsenal since mid-March. He had been out with an injury. And when he came back, there were natural questions about whether he would take a little while to find his sharpness again. Against Fulham, he answered every single one of those questions. The goal ended an 11-game run without scoring at the Emirates. 11 games. That is a long time for a player of Saka's quality to go without scoring at his home ground. And when he finally did it, on a day when Arsenal needed it most, it felt massive. The only concern was that Saka was taken off at halftime. He was replaced by Noni Madueke. Now, the hope among Arsenal fans is that this was just a precaution. Arsenal have the second leg against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League coming up very soon, and Mikel Arteta clearly does not want to risk Saka picking up an injury or getting too tired. That makes complete sense. But fingers crossed that he is fully fit for what comes next. Do you think Saka should have stayed on the pitch for the full 90 minutes, or was Arteta right to rest him? That is a genuine debate worth having in the comments. Gyökeres made it 2 before half-time. Victor Gyökeres was not done after his first goal. Just before the break, he got his second. Leandro Trossard sent in a brilliant cross from the left side. Gyökeres attacked it with real purpose and power, rising above the Fulham defence to plant a header firmly into the net. It was the kind of goal that reminds you exactly why Arsenal went out and signed him. That goal took Gyökeres to 21 goals for the season in all competitions. Now let us think about that number for a moment. 21 goals in his first season at Arsenal, after arriving at a new club, in a new league, with a huge transfer fee and huge expectations on his shoulders. There have been people who have criticized him. There have been moments in this season where some fans questioned whether he was really the right fit for the way Arsenal play. There were those viral clips and social media posts suggesting tension between him and certain teammates. Rumors of a rift with Saka were shared around fan forums and YouTube communities like wildfire. And yet, here they are, combining for a goal, both scoring or assisting in the same game, looking like exactly the partnership Arsenal fans dreamed about when Gyokeres arrived. So to everyone who said it was not going to work, what do you think now? Let us talk about the rift rumor, because it needs to be addressed. Okay, so this is something we have to get into because it has been a big talking point in the Arsenal community, including in spaces like Gooner TV. The idea that there was or is a rift between Saka and Gyökeres. Where did this come from? Honestly, a lot of it started with camera clips, moments after goals where Gyökeres and Saka did not celebrate together in the way fans expected. A few clips of what looked like cold body language between them went viral on social media. Fans started reading into every little moment. Theories spread quickly, and before long, people were saying that Saka was not passing to Gyökeres on purpose. Here is the truth, though. None of that was ever confirmed. No journalist with genuine inside access at Arsenal reported a real dressing room fallout between the two. No source close to the club went on record about a rift. What happened was that people took short clips, removed all the context around them, and built a story on top of thin air. This is something that happens a lot in the age of social media. A clip gets shared, someone adds a caption, and suddenly thousands of people believe something that might not be true at all. Football fans are passionate and we love a story, but we have to be careful not to turn speculation into fact. What Saturday showed is that when these two players are on the pitch together and both are fit and in form, they can cause serious problems for any defence in the Premier League. The combination for the first goal was not the work of two players who do not like each other. That was a goal born out of understanding, timing, and connection. What has Pep Guardiola actually said about these two players? Now, this is where we need to be really clear and honest because there has been some confusion about this online. There is no known quote from Pep Guardiola specifically praising the Saka and Gyökeres combination as a duo after the Fulham match. None. If you have seen a clip or a post claiming Guardiola made a statement about how dangerous the two are together following Saturday's game, be very careful with that. Always check the original source before believing something and sharing it. What we do know from the public record is this. Guardiola has spoken highly of Bukayo Saka in the past as an individual player. He has described him as a major threat and has spoken about how difficult he is to deal with from a tactical standpoint. That praise is real and it is on the record. When it comes to Gyökeres, the most well-known Guardiola comment about the striker actually came before Gyökeres joined Arsenal. Guardiola was asked whether Gyökeres could be an option for Manchester City, and his response was essentially that Gyökeres would not start ahead of Erling Haaland at City. That was his verdict. Not a criticism exactly, more a statement of where Haaland sits in his thinking, but it was not a glowing endorsement either. So what we have is a situation where the narrative around a Guardiola response to this specific partnership has been built up in fan spaces and on social media, but the actual direct quote about these two as a combined force does not exist in verified reporting. Does that mean Guardiola is not watching Arsenal with serious concern right now? Of course not. City are 6 points behind with 3 games to play. You would have to believe that Guardiola is watching every Arsenal match very closely indeed. And if he is watching Saturday's game back, he would have seen a Saka and Gyökeres combination that should worry any manager in Europe. What 6 points clear actually means for the title race, let us talk about the table and what it all means going into the final stretch of the season. After the Fulham win, Arsenal are 6 points clear of Manchester City. There are 3 games left to play. City have a game in hand, meaning they have 4 matches remaining. Now here is where it gets interesting. City play Everton on Monday. If City win that game, the gap goes back down to 3 points. If City lose or draw, Arsenal's lead stays at 6 or grows even bigger. From an Arsenal point of view, 6 points with 3 games to play is a very healthy position. Mathematically, if City win all 4 of their remaining games, they would finish level on points with Arsenal or potentially ahead. So Arsenal cannot afford to switch off or take their foot off the gas. But here is the thing. Manchester City have been inconsistent this season. They have dropped points in games they were expected to win. And Arsenal, particularly at home and in recent weeks, have looked like a team that is growing in confidence and belief with every passing game. The goal difference advantage that Arsenal have built is also significant. On Saturday, they added to it with a 3-goal performance against Fulham. In a title race that goes right to the final day, goal difference can be the deciding factor. Arsenal are aware of this, and you can see in the way they play that they are not just trying to win games, but trying to win them convincingly. Think back to the near misses of recent seasons. Think about how many times Arsenal fans have been in a similar position and things have not gone the way they hoped. Does this year feel different to you? And if so, why? Miles Lewis-Skelly and the Arteta tactical move nobody saw coming. One of the most interesting subplots from the Fulham game was the role of Miles Lewis-Skelly. Arteta chose to play the young academy graduate in central midfield alongside Declan Rice. Lewis-Skelly is naturally a left back. Playing him in the centre of the park was a bold decision, especially with this much at stake in the season, but it worked brilliantly. The teenager was composed on the ball, read the game well, broke up play effectively, and gave Arsenal real balance in midfield. For someone who had only made a handful of Premier League starts this season, his performance in an unfamiliar position was seriously impressive. This is actually something that Arteta has borrowed from his time working under Guardiola at Manchester City. Guardiola is famous for converting full-backs into midfielders and vice versa. It is a tactical idea that Arteta has clearly absorbed and is now applying at Arsenal. The fact that it worked so well against Fulham shows both the quality of Lewis-Skelly as a player and the trust that Arteta has in his squad. This is a manager who is not afraid to try something unconventional when the situation demands it. And that kind of flexibility and bravery in decision-making is exactly what separates good managers from great ones. Calafiori and the VAR moment. We will try to forget. It would not be an Arsenal game in 2026 without at least one VAR moment to talk about. Ricardo Calafiori had the ball in the net in the first half and thought he had added Arsenal's second goal. He attacked a ball in the area and headed it home with real quality. The Emirates went wild for a moment. Then VAR stepped in. The goal was disallowed. Calafiori was offside. The Italian himself apparently knew as soon as the flag went up, with the look on his face suggesting he was aware of the call before it was even confirmed. In the grand scheme of things, it did not matter because Arsenal won comfortably anyway. But it is worth mentioning because Calafiori has had a difficult season with injuries, and moments like this can be deflating for an individual player. The hope is that he keeps building his fitness and form as Arsenal enter the most important part of the season. The bigger picture, what Arsenal are building. Step back from Saturday for a moment and think about what Arsenal as a football club are building under Mikel Arteta. 3 or 4 years ago, people were debating whether Arteta was the right man for the job. The early years of his reign were rocky in places. There were tough results. There were difficult transfer windows. There were moments where the project looked fragile, but Arteta kept going. He built a squad with real quality and real depth. He brought in players like Declan Rice, who has been exceptional in midfield. He developed academy talents like Lewis-Skelly into genuine first-team contributors. He added Gyökeres as a goal-scoring weapon. He kept faith in Saka even through his injury period. And now Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League with 3 games to play, and also still alive in the Champions League with a second leg against Atletico Madrid to come. This is not just a good run of form. This is a proper title challenge from a team that is learning how to win and how to handle pressure. Arteta himself said after the game that the work is not done and the focus has to go straight to the next challenge. That is exactly the right mindset. One game at a time, one performance at a time. 3 questions for the Gooner TV community. Here are 3 big questions we want you to think about and share your views on. First, do you think the Saka and Gyökeres partnership is now the most dangerous attacking combination in the Premier League, and what makes it work so well? Second, City still have a game in hand. If they beat Everton on Monday and close the gap back to 3 points, how do you feel Arsenal respond? Do they have the mental strength to hold on? Third, with Saka taken off at half-time against Fulham as a precaution, how important is it that he is fully fit for the Atletico Madrid second leg and the remaining Premier League games? And if he is not available, how much does that change Arsenal's chances? Drop your answers in the comments. We want to hear from every single one of you. What Guardiola knows and what he will not say here is one final thought on the Guardiola angle before we close this out. Pep Guardiola is one of the greatest managers in the history of football. Nobody who follows the game seriously disputes that. And one of the things that makes him great is how carefully he speaks in public. He rarely gives opponents compliments that could be used as motivation against him. He rarely says something that reveals too much about his thinking. So when people are looking for a big Guardiola quote about the Saka and Gyökeres partnership, they may be waiting for a long time. Not because he is not paying attention, but because he is very careful about what he puts out there publicly. What we do know is that his previous verdict on Gyökeres, made when the striker was still at Sporting, was essentially that Gyökeres could not get into his team ahead of Haaland. That was before Gyökeres moved to Arsenal, before he hit 21 goals in a season, before he combined with Saka to tear apart Fulham and help Arsenal move 6 points clear. Football moves fast, players develop, partnerships form. And sometimes the best way to respond to someone doubting you is not with words, but with performances. Saturday, the 2nd of May, 2026 was a performance. Final thoughts. This Arsenal team is for real. So here is where we land. Arsenal beat Fulham 3-0. Saka and Gyökeres combined brilliantly. The Gunners are 6 points clear with 3 games to play. The title is within touching distance. There are still obstacles ahead. City will not give up without a fight. The Atletico Madrid tie in the Champions League is a massive test, and injuries are always a concern at this point in the season. But right now, in this moment, Arsenal look like champions in waiting. They play with confidence, with quality, and with a belief that has been built slowly and patiently over the course of this season. Saka is back to his best. Gyökeres is delivering goals at a big stage of the season. Arteta is making brave and clever decisions. And the squad as a whole is showing that they have what it takes to go all the way. To everyone in the Gooner TV community, thank you for reading. This journey is not over. The best might still be ahead of us. Stay together, stay loud, stay behind the team. And if Arsenal do win this title, after everything this club has been through, just remember where you were when it happened. Remember the games, the goals, the moments. Remember Saturday, the 2nd of May, 2026, when Saka set up Gyökeres, scored himself, and Arsenal looked every inch like the best team in England. Come on, you Gunners.